Hey everybody, this is Alessandro, welcome back to my channel. And today I want to discuss something that eventually is gonna happen in your career, and is about when you receive a really terrible offer from a company, right? Sometimes it can happen, you will have an interview and everything, you get accepted, and the monetary offer is actually really bad. So I have a couple of experience I wanted to share with you, and I also wanted to know how did I handle it, because they were kind of crashing for me. There were a couple of companies I really wanted to work for. I was really looking forward, and it didn't happen at the end. But I want to share with you just a little bit of the overall experience, because I think it's something eventually it will happen to everybody, and maybe it's good to know that how to deal with emotion and what to do next and stuff like that, right? So I will start from the very beginning. I was in Crytek. I was been there in Crytek for like 3 years. The company was not doing that well. It was time for me to look for another job, right? Because I felt like at some point I would have been very soon being laid off. So I anticipate the movement and start to look for another job. And considering in Crytek I was there as a junior, and so I started to apply. After 3 years, I think was the good time for me to be a mid-level animator. I applied for a few companies. I sent my demo reel. I get like quite a good response so far, but was a couple of companies where I was really looking forward to work for them, because I love their games. I always enjoy playing their games. I knew it would have been fun as animator working on those projects, and I was really looking forward. They were kind of like my dream company to work on, right? So, so yes, I did the interview and everything, and I did I did the phone interview, I did the test, another phone interview, I did the on-site company, so they let me fly over there. The company paid for everything, and at the end, when I go back to home, they give me the offer, and sadly, the offer was for a higher position, but at least I would say 30% lower than my current salary as a junior. And I was like, what the hell is this? Like they knew my current salary, and they offered me something lower, and was like, this is a big company, this is not a small company. They're working on IP, they're making millions of dollars. How they are expecting to pay so little? I was so upset. I was talking with all my colleagues, some of them they couldn't even believe me. And I started to do some research, okay? Because I was having an agent back then, and I shared my frustration with him. He acknowledged that the offer was kind of low, but he told me that he's been dealing with this company, and that's how they work. So then I was talking with some of my colleagues in my current company that they actually also accept a job to that company over there, and I was sharing with them because I wanted to know if it was my problem, like maybe they didn't value me as an animator, maybe they felt like I was not good enough. And basically the answer that I got, after a little bit of research was this one, and it was kind of shocking. The fact is, this company is quite big. The company has a big name. They are having an IP that everybody wants to work on, right? A lot of people want to work on this IP, and that's the thing. The company can afford to offer very cheap salary because they have a lot of demand of requests, and apparently people are accepting it. And I was even talking with this colleague of mine. He was a programmer, and he accepted the job over there. He told me, yes, Alessandro, the job is very badly paid, but at least I want to have the name of my credits on this company, and I'm willing to accept a very low salary. I was like, that's terrible. That's terrible attitude. I'm not gonna do that. Yes, I want to work on those games and everything, but I'm not gonna devalue myself just because because of the title, or my name on the title. Like, I don't care about that. And first of all, and second, I would be very worried to work for a company that value artists like this very cheap, just because they feel like, oh, if we have a big name, if you not work with us, you have to accept a low offer. That's a really terrible attitude, and I don't think it tells me that the company is not gonna treat his employee very well. And so I reject the offer. Okay, I didn't move, even though it was very crushing. I think like I didn't sleep for a few nights, but I reject eventually because I'm not gonna accept those terrible conditions. And without no surprise, I move on with my life and everything. But I can tell you guys, 4 years later, because the company was working on a game, it took quite a while. 4 years later, I started to read the news all over the internet, on Reddit, other things like that, that people were complaining about those companies because they were doing months and months of overtime, not seeing their family, stuff like that. It was really brutal. Not being paid for overtime. Salary was being very little. managing, being very very bossy and not very respectful. And I was like not surprised at all, because like you could see this at the very beginning. I mean, I'm sorry, but if the company offered you a terrible position like this, a terrible offer, and you're accepting it, man, my friend, I'm sorry, but the fault is on you as well, because you'd have all the information to figure it out that this company has no respect for their worker. I have those information. It's not I'm someone special. It was just there in front of me when they give me the offer letter. And if you want to accept those low offer anyway, even if without being uh, paid overtime, stuff like that, with low salary, well, that's a bit on you, the responsibility. And you should not, in my opinion, you should not accept something like this. But people wanted to do anyway, and at the end, you're responsible for your own action. And I can tell you something, for example, about my friends, that he went there because he wanted to have his name on the credit, on the title. Well, what happened is that after 3 years, he told me he quit the company because he didn't enjoy obviously working for them. He felt like he was being underpaid. The project was really messy, and he left the company before the game was shipped. So you know what? His name was not on the credits, because if you leave a company before the project gets finished, your name most of the time is not gonna be in the credit. So can you imagine the joke? You accept the offer because because you want to put name on the title on your curriculum, and then you quit the company early, and then so you work for 3 years with a low salary. You have nothing to show for, because you cannot show material that you work on the project, and you don't even have the name on the credits, right? So it's a joke, right? And this is something that can happen quite often, because there are many companies, especially when they're working on new IP, can take them to 6, 7, 8 years sometimes to make a game, or maybe even 5 years, which is still a lot of time. And if you accept an offer that has a very bad condition, that you probably won't resist until the end of the journey, right? And even if you do, you're losing a lot of money. So it was just terrible. And just to give you a bit of a context here, yes, I reject all those offers. I had a couple of them like this in a row, and it took my time to wait for the right offer, right? Which eventually I got it when I went to Singapore. But I could afford to do this, guys, even though I had the feeling that my company was about to let me off very soon. It's simply because I move ahead of time, in the sense I pile out a lot of savings, okay, during these 3 years, and even all the years before I was working in Italy as a freelance. I had a lot of savings, and all those amount of savings allow me to buy a small property where I was living, no mortgage, no debt, nothing. I've always been debt free in all my life, and so I didn't have to pay rent, I didn't have to pay mortgage and everything. I could now saving even more money, and I still have plenty enough savings. So even in the case, for example, the company will lay me off or will fire me, I would be in a great position, because I would have a place to stay for free, okay, no rent, no mortgage. I would still have plenty of savings. Back then, what still was at the very beginning of my career, I should have been like 3 years without a job before I run out of savings with the current expenses that I have every month, right? And it was a great position to be, because I could reject those bad offers and waiting for the better one. And that's eventually what happened. I found a company that value me and everything. And it was a great position to be. And when I had this kind of mentality of savings, even though I get a better job that now was paying me double of what I was making before, I continued to save and save money, because I saw what the benefit that I have in that amount of time. So moving forward with my career, I was in Singapore for 4 years and everything, and I felt like it was for me the time to apply to feature film and visual effects. It was an experience that I wanted to try, and I knew about the short content and everything, but I still was a bit tired. And also was coming to a moment where Singapore, the students in Singapore, they move all the production to Indonesia, and so I know very soon I would lose my job as well, right? So again, I move ahead of time, start to send my curriculum, and there is a company that was working in visual effects that he replied to me, and I was super thrilled and super excited, because I know they were working on very cool project, right? Like the Avengers, Spider-Man, super cool project. I know it would be super fun to work on, and I would have great shot to put on my demo reel and everything. I was so thrilled, I passed the interview and everything. And then again, when they offered me the monetary offer, it was terrible, because in Singapore I I was having a permanent contract. I was having a quite a good salary, and they offered me a 4 months contract with probably again 40% less of the salary after taxes. And I kind of was like, what the hell is this? I mean, you guys working in feature film, you make millions or billions of dollars. Like, how can you offer something like this? And again, I talked with one of my colleagues who was working currently there. He told me, yes, that's how this company operates, because this company gets all the best project because they charge very little, and then they pay very little the employee because of the you know, they can afford it because they have the best project. People want to work with them. There was the same things. People want to work on those projects. They want to have that stuff on the demo reel, blah blah blah. It's like, I'm not gonna leave my permanent job, you know, to go to work for months there. And it's especially for a bad offer. If the offer was at least very good, I could consider. And again, it was still very very crushing that I see people offering that very little. And then again, but the worst part is that you could see artists accept those conditions. I can tell you guys, when I was in Canada, at some point I was working on a feature film, and I met a guy. He was in the same company with me. He took a job offer. His contract was 2 months. He flew over from Europe to Vancouver to be there for 2 months, and the salary he told me was not even good. And he told me, "Oh, I'm doing it for the experience." Dude, the 2 months it's not gonna great experience. You're not gonna learn that much. But apparently, I feel like some people are just desperate because they want to have the name of the title. And I never been like this, honestly. So again, even though when I received that offer from that visual effects studio, I simply rejected. And again, I took my time to look for the right opportunity. And in fact, at some point, I lose my job in Singapore, right? Because as I told you guys, they moved all the production in Indonesia, and I didn't want to move there. But again, I was in a great position because during those 4 years in Singapore, I continued to save more and more money. I was making more money than before. I get a promotion. I was keep saving. I made a bit of sacrifice still. I was having still my previous property that I was renting out to collect rent. So as soon as I lost my job in Singapore, the first things I did, I went 2 months in vacation in Asia. I went China, I went Taiwan. Then I go back, I stay in my own property that I own. I was keep working on my demo reel. I took my time. I enjoyed time with friends. I was still traveling. And guess what, guys? I was not burning my savings because I had my own property in that kind of town. The life is not too expensive. So again, it was a great place to live. And that's why I always recommend, you know, to people in this industry, they need to learn how to manage their savings, because it gives you really a great advantage. In fact, when I receive bad offer, I don't accept them. I don't care. Let's move forward. Reject them, move forward. Keep working on your demo reel, keep improving. Know what is your worth, and eventually you can negotiate for a better offer. And that's eventually what happened. And eventually I managed to work in feature film. You know, I got a couple of good offers. The salary was good. They offered to pay overtime and stuff like that, so I could have the choice if I wanted to work on overtime or not. And it wasn't great. Again, I was happy to go there. I was proud of it to work in this company, right? I wouldn't just go there and feel like, oh, yes, I'm working only for the movie and I'd be underpaid. This is not a good situation you want to be with. And I'm always been proud about these things, and I always push, even my students, I always push this kind of mentality. Don't just accept any job from any offer just because you want to have the title on your curriculum. That's, I think, you're just devaluing yourself as an artist. And I always try to push artists to fight for their value and not for less. That's at least what I teach to my students and everything. And even some of the professionals came to me because they've been underpaid and they want to know how to push for their value, so they do consulting with me and stuff like that. It's something I'm always gonna push for because it's something I strongly believe in. Okay, so okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this kind of video, and if you have any question or something, let me know. See you next time.